I wanted to come on here and talk about this whole Beyonce situation that's been going on recently. I don't know when this video is actually going to go up, but hopefully it can go up at a time when this is still cycling the news. But you know, with the way things kind of rotate around so much, it kind of is like if you don't get in on the ground floor, then you pretty much miss your opportunity. But it is what it is. It'll get up when it gets up. So many people already know that Beyonce has just released her latest album called Renaissance, and it says I think it's called Act One. And I think they said it's like a 3-parter. And she already released one song called Break My Soul, which is basically a callback to house music that became very popular or was started in Chicago. I want to make sure I get that right because people are very sensitive about that. But it's a style of genre of music, and it's called, dance music or house music. And it was met with mixed reviews and everything like that. I'm really not here to talk about so much about that, but I really wanted to come on here and talk about two things in particular. One that recently just happened. The first one, and why I believe this is happening, and something that I think a lot of people have overlooked. So the first thing is Kelis. Everybody knows Kelis, the singer. If you were born of a certain era or around in the late 90s and early 2000s, Kelis, she was a singer, R&B singer. She came out with a few songs, a couple of albums back then. I'm gonna be honest, one of my favorite songs by her is Get Along With You. That's probably one of my favorite songs by her. Of course, she has also had a song called I Hate You So Much Right Now, but her biggest hit was Milkshake. Everybody knows the Milkshake song. That song pretty much dominated the radio back in the early 2000s when it first came out. It was everywhere. Like, you could not escape that song at all. But apparently Beyonce sampled one of Kelis's songs in her album. I'm not exactly what song it is. I'm sure someone's going to let me know down in the comments below. And at the time, Kelis was working with Pharrell and the Neptunes. Pharrell and the Neptunes, they've been around producing for years. Like, it's crazy how long they've been producing. They've been around since like the early 90s. But they did some of her songs or worked on some of her albums. But apparently with the publishing, from what I'm hearing, is Kelis did not have ownership of the publishing, or they did some kind of underhanded thing where Kelis did not have ownership of the songs that she did. And so whenever a song like that gets sampled, she does not get a cut of it. Well, Kelis heard the song and she became very, very irate about it, like many people would, because what's that age-old thing Erykah Badu said, that famous quote she said, "I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit." That was basically how she was feeling, and she put out a host of videos basically just going in on Beyonce about the whole thing about the song, and they wanted it removed. When really, I think she should have sent that heat towards Pharrell, because at the end of the day, that was his doing right there more so than Beyonce. Eventually, after the concert, it wasn't really a back and forth type of thing. It was more just her. It was a one-sided thing because Beyonce wasn't really responding to her. Beyonce's team ended up removing that particular, I think they removed the song from the album. So now if you go in to download the album, the song is removed, and probably if you've already downloaded the album, they probably took the song off of the streaming. So the song is not there. So boom, they took care of that. Now, the most recent thing that came out, and I think this is probably, if not ridiculous, but just as bad as the Kelis situation, is that Beyonce used the word spaz in one of her songs. Now, when I think of the word spaz, I'm talking about someone that just goes crazy. They go nuts. They just lose their shit. Because, spaz is a terminology or a word that has been used by so many people for so many years. I don't even know how old that word is, but the word spaz out has always been used. I remember it was times when I would constantly use that word. My peers would use that word. It's a pretty universal word. But come to our attention, overseas, I believe in the UK, that word spaz is seen as a slur towards people who have cerebral palsy, in a terminology that they will find offensive if someone just says they're spazzing out. I would like to know, how would Beyonce or any of us even know that's what the word meant? None of us knew what that word stood for. We didn't know that it was associated with people who had a disability. That was just something we always used. I think they're even trying to make it seem like, I don't know if they are or they aren't, but let me tell you this. They better not try to equate that word to the N-word, because they love to try to take these so-called slurs and equate them to the N-word to make them seem like they're bigger than what they are. And they're not. Let's just be real and completely honest with ourselves here. They're not. So that happened, and all of that, like I said, I'm not even reading any articles because I'm just like pulling this from everything that I've heard so far. So that situation happened. I guess we learned something new today, and they ended up taking, I guess, that song out as well. So now she's down 2 songs on her album that just came out. Like what a time to, like, what a interesting time to release a new album, especially after, according to what I've heard, this is the first Beyonce album that she's released as a solo project in like 6 years. I think they said since Lemonade. So that was since 2016. They don't really count The Black is King or the work that she did on The Lion King because those were more specialty projects. But they're talking about one that she released solely on her own that was not attached to anything else, because The Black is King was attached to more so like Disney, Lion King, and there was another one called The Gift, which was also attached to Lion King as well. Because I think The Gift was the album and Black is King was more the visual. So they're really like a part 1 and part 2 of themselves, but they're not a project that's just solely for herself. So this was her, coming back from a hiatus, so to speak. And not really counting the song that she did for King Richard, because again, that, while it was a solo song, it was attached to a soundtrack, which that is a dope song. I must say, I don't really like Beyonce like that, but that song that she did for the King Richard soundtrack, which I think is called Be Alive, I love that song. The beat and the lyrics of that song work phenomenally, especially when you think and watch the movie itself. If you haven't heard it, I suggest that you check that out. But you have all of this going on while she's just releasing her album, and I'm sitting here saying to myself, why is she catching all of this heat right now? Especially when she seems to be she is a very dominating force in the entertainment industry as it stands right now. She's very, she's globally known. They probably know about her on other planets. But then I sat there and said to myself, I wonder if the reason why Beyonce is catching all of this heat is because throughout her entire career, even dating back to her Destiny Child days and earlier solo career, Beyonce has maintained, seemingly maintained, a rather squeaky clean image. Now, really think about this for a second. Beyonce is not a person that you really think of being caught up in scandals. Rarely do you ever see her name muddied up. They've tried, but it's like it was stuff that kind of fell flat, and they really couldn't stick anything to her. And like I said, she's managed to maintain a squeaky clean image in a way. I'm not saying that it was completely clean, but nothing more than a lot of her peers who stay in the news for a bunch of drama. And this right here is probably the most controversy that she's ever been hit with in her entire career. And it's all coming at one fell swoop while she's releasing an album after she hasn't released any major album in 6 years. I think the last bit of controversy they tried to hit her with was when she performed at the Super Bowl back in 2016, when she had the attire on, and you had Rudy Giuliani, aka the Gargoyle, trying to say that she was anti-police because of how she was dressed and her throwing up the Black Power fist and everything like that. And they just happened to be in Oakland, and we know the Black Panther Party and all types of stuff like that. But that didn't go anywhere. No one was taking the Gargoyle seriously when he said that. So that was like a waste. So when you take all of what I'm just saying, I truly believe the reason why Beyonce is receiving this heat is because she's never been in a major scandal or controversy. And they have to try to find a way to say, oh, you know, Beyonce, you know, years from now, Beyonce had this amazing career, but remember when she released the first part of her new album back in 2022 and she stole Kelis's or sample and she called, she used a slur by saying the word spaz in her song? That's what they're trying to do with her. And speaking of the word spaz, to insert another person in here, apparently Lizzo used the word spaz in one of her songs on an album that she had. But I don't listen to Lizzo like that. I only know about this because I saw her name pop up when I was looking through the things about this. And they went in on her about that. But we didn't know, like, we really didn't know about it. We really didn't care. It's like, oh, whatever. But it really didn't catch hold until it happened with her. Like I said, I didn't know the word spaz was considered a slur because we've been using it so much, like often we didn't know what it was. At least I put it like this. Over here, the word spaz would not be seen as a slur. Only over in the UK or wherever this came from, that's where it's seen as a slur. But my thing is this. People have been saying spaz for years. Why now are you outraged, and why did you choose Beyonce to be mad at? Again, let's not forget, Beyonce is a successful black woman in this industry. Like I said, she really never had any type of major controversy come her way. She's really, you know, she has a huge, large global fan base. Whether you like her or not, you got to admit her fan base is huge, is gargantuan, if you want to use that as a word. Or as a description, I should say. But she's really never had any kind of smudges to her reputation until now. So they feel like, oh, we got her. And what did Eddie Griffin say? Black celebrities can go, or black people go into Hollywood, but they never leave clean. This right here is the smudge on Beyonce's reputation that they wanted. And of course, they're going to blow it all out of proportion because that's just what the news does. But honestly, I don't see this as a big deal. I honestly don't. Many people don't. But honestly, you know what? I'm sure that she's going to be able to bounce back from this. I'm sure by the time she announces that she's going on another tour, that whole thing is not going to be a thing. Now, if she does a world tour, which I'm sure she will do, to, you know, for this album, or if she decides to do one, the biggest question is, how will the people over in the UK receive it? Because I'm going to be honest, if they do everything with the exception of letting her, with the exception, and let me rephrase that. If she decides to do a tour and one of the tour dates is over there and they don't say, don't come here because of what you said on that song, they're going to look like hypocrites. Because it's like, at that point, why would you get upset? Why would you get mad? I mean, if you were really upset, you wouldn't let her tour. After all, isn't Snoop not allowed over in one of those countries because he had some weed? I believe it was. I forgot what country it was. I think that was the UK. I'm not sure. Someone let me know. But really, in my honest opinion, this is a bunch of fake and phony outrage when it comes to the whole spaz thing. The Kelis thing, that's a different situation. But the fact that they removed it or removed the sample means one of two things. One, Kelis either had a strong case with this, or they didn't want this to completely drag itself out. And they said, you know what? We'll concede. Let's just take the song off. I don't know what that's going to do for Kelis's career, but it definitely got her back out in the news. Because when's the last time you heard anything about Kelis? Because I'm going to be honest. After Kelis's first couple of albums, the only time you really heard Kelis's name was when she was connected to Nas. You know, when her and Nas was married, as long as Nas's name stayed out there, her name stayed out there. But when her and Nas got a divorce, he kept moving on and she kind of faded into obscurity. So I wonder what Kelis's angle is. Is this her way of trying to put herself back out there? I mean, because if it is, she was successful because everyone's talking about her. But the thing is it's only temporary, because once this starts to fade into obscurity, this whole situation, so will she. Fading back into it, that is, because no one's looking to work with her, especially now, because now you know what they're going to say? Kelis, you're drama filled, you're problematic. No one's going to want to work with you. You're bad for business after this situation. Because she didn't even gracefully do this. She literally came out and was extremely irate with it. I believe I was looking at some videos I was watching, and shout out to the plainestJANE, because she actually talked about this on her channel, where not the plainestJANE, but she did talk about it. But shout out to Sincere Love the God, because he talked about it. Apparently Beyonce has sampled a song by the Clark sisters. I believe it's the Clark sisters. You know, the Clark sisters, they are a gospel group. And on one of the songs that she sampled, I think they said the name of the song is called Church Girl. They said that's like a really ratchet type of song. And one of the Clark sisters publicly came out in a video and thanked Beyonce for sampling the song, because it put her back out there. And then even proceeded to end the video off by playing a chord of the song that she sampled. It seems like every song that Beyonce may have sampled on that album, people was fine with. But with Kelis, it was an issue. And the crazy thing about it is, all of other people that they sampled, I believe they own their publishing. Kelis, on the other hand, does not. So it makes you wonder what's really going on. But like I said, I think Kelis's biggest issue was more so with Pharrell. But because it would not look attention serving to simply go after Pharrell, let's go after the big fish, which is Beyonce. But that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Like and share this content on your various social media platforms. If you are new, be sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Click the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. And also be sure to have your notifications turned on your mobile devices. And I will talk to you in the next one.